already this evening that a significant issue for Ward 2 is affordable housing. So I guess what I'm asking is what specific strategies or plans do you think council should adopt to best address this issue?
And yeah, I touched on a couple of these things too before, but I was rushed because I was trying to finish in my 5 minutes. So, but this in the 2009 election, every candidate except 2 or 3 signed an agreement, or whatever the case was, that there was 3 points that were into it. One of those, which was not done by council, all of whom agreed to do it, was implement a 1 in 10 policy for new developments. So if someone's putting in a 200-unit subdivision, 20 of those units have to be affordable. And one of the issues is people don't have a very good idea of what affordable housing is, and so we don't mean necessarily social housing. We mean housing that is kind of modest in scale sometimes, or it can be social housing, or it can be rent geared to income. So it doesn't have to be what everyone just thinks of as like social housing, you know what I mean? So implement the 1 in 10 policy. I think that there's also a lot of other great examples that I've seen. I'm a member of Canadian Housing and Mortgage Corporation, which is, anyways, I'm missing the name of the organization, so I'll move on. But so it's a federal, national organization, and I went to a conference in Regina a number of years ago, and there was a million ideas that they're doing around the country, from affordable home ownership programs like Habitat for Humanity. The city in Saskatoon, the city will give a break on property tax for the first year, and so basically it's people who would otherwise not qualify for mortgages are able to get into a house, and the mortgage is secured by whatever organization is. And then the city can kind of give them cheaper property tax for the first year, or waive development permits and things like that, which kind of might normally hold up a nonprofit from getting someone into a house that they can then own. And so there's a whole array of things I think that we can do to encourage affordable housing development. Those are a couple of them.
Yes, the 1 in 10 is an excellent idea. I've talked about that as well. I've also heard about some other, and certainly we may need to, offer incentives to developers in order to get them to do that. But I think that's important to do. There are other ideas that I've also heard about. One very interesting one that I heard about was sort of a hybrid system. That would sort of be a hybrid between a social housing and a home ownership program, where the house is built with public money, and people move into the home, but then they have to start making a payment, something that they can't afford to make. And as long as the payment is made and the upkeep is kept on the house, well, then over a course of 25, 30 years, whatever the case might be, they will have a chance to actually own that home. And that to me is something that so many people stuck in a cycle of poverty would love to have a chance to avail of. And I think like Andrew said, I'm sure there's a million ideas out there. We just have to start to do them, and we need to start to make a difference in this problem. Because as he said, when we both ran in 2009, everybody promised to do something about it.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say that oftentimes when we use the term affordable housing, there's a lot of stigma which is associated with that. And in all of our neighborhoods, we've seen the challenges with various types of housing which are proposed to go into neighborhoods, and sometimes it's met with resistance. And I think that we need to change the mindset, and I'm glad that Andrew and Scott had talked about what affordable housing actually means. I'm very supportive of any initiative which helps those who require affordable housing. The 1 in 10 sounds like a really good idea, but I don't think that it is as easy as what it sounds. I think that you would be met with quite some challenges in terms of how you would administer that policy. So I think there will be some challenge with that, but I would be willing to look at that and see how it works in other municipalities throughout the country. It's fine to say yes, 1 in every 10 homes has to be affordable. How do you identify who meets that criteria? Is that the responsibility of the city? Is it the responsibility of the developer? So I'm very cautious about that. I'm very supportive, but I'm very cautious about how we would, as a city, administer such a program or such a restriction. I think as a city, we have a responsibility to build better partnerships with the provincial and federal government, and perhaps identify some projects that we can work on. I think that we have some creative mindset that we could certainly work towards a specific development, and maybe do some pilot projects within the city and see how they work. And if they work, well then let's see if we can build a long-term plan for the city. But I know that we've spoke about it the last 4 years and then the 4 years before it. Everybody, yes, wants to do more about affordable housing, but we really need to take action. It's one thing to talk about it, but people want to see action, and I think that starts with really coming up with a concrete plan, whether that be affordable housing strategy or some type of a working document that we could really focus on an end result and get started on that immediately.